All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. This Saturday, welcome to the weekend. It's going to be a good day when BFM is in the house. It's always a good day with BFM. If you don't know, you don't. If you do, you do. Great week here in the cave. Check out Melody Gardot. That was a nice slowdown for Wanderlust Wednesday. Yeah, good stuff. So what are we talking about today? What are you guys listening to? First of all, I was listening to all kinds of stuff this week. Van Halen, Loverboy, pulled out some Yes, 90125, some of those usual suspects. But anyway, we're doing a double-shot Saturday, 2 for Saturday. Remember 2 for Tuesdays? Remember Rock Block Weekends, WAQY out of Springfield, Mass. We play 3 songs from your artists that you would love. And if you didn't like the band, you were stuck for 3 songs. Did they play commercials in between? Probably not. But anyway, that's where I learned all about my classic rock. But we're going back. We've got a double anniversary from different years. We're talking about Phil Collins. How about Phil Collins? He owned the 80s. He always looked a lot older than he really was, right? Same with Joe Jackson, right? It must have been because of the hair, right? But he owned the 80s. Between Genesis, they got Duke in 80 and the self-titled in 85, and I Can't Dance came out late 80s, right? And then he had at least 2 solo records, if not 3. I mean, he owned it by himself, but never mind the members of Genesis. Between them, their records, and Peter Gabriel with his solo career, and Mike and the Mechanics, Mike Rutherford. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Just these guys owned the 80s. But we're going back to this week in 1981, February 13th, 1981. Phil Collins drops his debut solo record, Face Value. I was scrolling around and someone did, The Guardian or someone did something where they superimposed his older face on next to his younger face of those album covers. I'll post those if I can right here. Anyway. Remember, he spent 8 years with Genesis, 5 as the drummer, took over for Peter Gabriel. They're starting to get some momentum, starts having marital issues. His wife wants him to be home more. He basically quits the band and decides to work on his marriage, which doesn't work. He gets divorced. He's not in the band, and he sets up equipment in his house and starts recording demos just to try to work through it all. And this is some of that material that came out of there. He decides to make a solo record, goes to L.A., and does something a little out of the ordinary and hires a horn section, hires the Earth, Wind, and Fire horn section for this record. That's where he got that. I mean, he does a remake of the Supremes, You Can't Hurry Love. I mean, that was all over MTV. That's pretty brave, right? But the horns all over this, and then lots of people would have horns on all their records after that. But there's some great songs on this record, but songs that didn't get on this record you'd be interested in knowing are Misunderstanding. This is the late 70s when he starts working on this stuff. Misunderstanding ends up on a Genesis record, Duke, in 1980. How Can You Just Sit There becomes Against All Odds. Think about that for a minute. And a song that he wrote that eventually became Don't Lose My Number off of No Jacket Required. So those didn't make it on that one. So on this record, there's some good stuff here. Of course, the lead-off song, In the Air Tonight. We're not covering that today. We've done plenty of that here in the cave. But are you even a fan of rock and roll, classic rock and roll, if you don't at least turn that part up? The drums when they kick in. I mean, how can you not? First of all, if you change the station, forget it. Unless it's that other version, it's no bueno. But you got to turn it up, and everyone. I mean, if you don't do that, I don't know who you are. I don't want to be friends with you. But we're not talking about that. There's some deep cuts on here if you don't know them. Thunder and Lightning, I'm Not Moving. We played this record a lot in college. If Leaving Me Is Easy, that got played a fair amount. But we're doing Song of the Day from Face Value. Today is I Missed Again. So good. Those horns, everything, you hear it all in there. Such good stuff. That's your part 1 Song of the Day today. Fast forward, he puts out his second solo record in November of 82, Hello, I Must Be Going. There were 7 singles off this record between the US and the UK, many of them in the UK that maybe you wouldn't know, but didn't quite get the reviews as the first solo, but probably of the strength of In the Air Tonight. But on this one, he does You Can't Hurry Love by the Supremes, sorry. Again, 7 singles all over the place. But February 1983, so that's your second anniversary, he drops the second single off this record, I Don't Care Anymore. Nice and dark, like In the Air Tonight, right up my alley. That one's so good. I Don't Care Anymore. I heard that the other day, and I was just like, man, this is awesome. Never gets tired. This was not released in the UK as a single, but in any event, one of his all-time favorite songs to hear in concert for sure. I never saw him in concert. I didn't see Genesis either. You people, did anyone make it to the Genesis reunion, the final tour, seemingly the final tour? I'm gathering that's true too, just considering his health issues. Oh, look, I'm staring right here in the cave. We're going to move things around here. I didn't plan on this. Record Store Day coming up in April. And Record Store Day, if you guys don't know about Record Store Day, they release all kinds of stuff on Record Store Day, only in record stores. Limited edition stuff, 1,000 copies, 500 copies, 2,000 copies, whatever it is. They're usually picture discs or colored discs. But this is one of those things we got In the Air Tonight, however many, some years ago. But it's got a comic book in it. It's pretty cool. Got a comic book in here. Goes through there. And then you got the actual record itself. Nice. Cool. But Record Store Day in April, you check it out. You get all kinds of fun stuff there. But those are your 2 songs of the day. Phil Collins. Always looking older than he really was. Kind of like your social studies teacher or an English teacher in high school. But, man, good stuff. Phil Collins. You're playing these records today. Play those solo records. Play both of them. But make sure you play I Don't Care Anymore. Awesome. And the deep cuts, I Missed Again, I'm Not Moving. Just all kinds of good stuff there. You're playing Phil Collins today. And play In the Air Tonight, just because. I hope whatever you're doing today involves music. And as usual, I'll catch you on the flip side.